So picture this, if you will. The year's the 1880s. Horses were a relic of the past and cars were a relic of the future. People wanted a new way to get around that wasn't constantly fecaling, but they were also holding out for Teslas because the cars that existed at the time, if any, were not feasible.
I wish my bike can poop.
That's the car of the future. That's what electricity, just little batteries should just, whenever they stop, and then there's a little guy that comes by and sweeps it up. And also, here's another, I'm going to give 2 takes for every joke and see which one's better. The only Tesla in town was Nikola. So
he wouldn't shut up about his bicycles.
He wouldn't shut up about how Thomas Edison was stealing all of his ideas and sending him into poverty.
He killed his elephant for him. That was my elephant to kill, not yours.
Did he kill his elephant?
Didn't Thomas Edison kill an elephant to prove that he could? Or am I thinking of somebody else? Who killed the elephant to prove that he could kill an elephant?
To assert his dominance over Nikola Tesla?
He strangled it with his bare hands.
With his electrical hand.
Yeah, got a giant pillow and put it over his face.
And that's how Electro was born. So what should rise up to fill this transitional need? The humble, comely, no one wants to marry, bicycle.
Bicycle.
The bisexual cisexual. They had been around for decades, but a couple advancements in the technology came about that culminated in the 1880s.
Equal size wheels.
You joke? Is that a joke? Greg?
Yeah, I'm literally joking.
Don't, because give me 2 seconds and you'll see why that's funny.
Symmetry was new at the time.
Do you want to take a separate take on that joke? Because that's not a joke. Listen to this. First, a few years after the war where we weren't all friends as a country anymore, came the invention of the chain system on a bike.
Smart.
So that you could actually pedal them to move them. How they move before that, I can't even begin to understand, but my best guess is Fred Flintstone. I don't know.
A running start.
And a running everything. I don't understand how bikes worked if you couldn't
They
pedal
just
them.
held you up as you ran.
Your servants carried you. What's the big deal? Okay, so then came 1886 was when safety bikes were introduced, meaning that it wasn't the guy with the big mustache and a Beetlejuice suit riding on a bike with one giant wheel and one small one. Now the average bike had 2 wheels that were the same size, which was much safer.
Ridiculous. It clearly shows that the original conceit of a bicycle was like a daredevil thing.
Yeah.
Like a novelty daredevil thing, and someone's like, we could just use this as a way to get around. Like, you guys didn't figure that out.
Why would they even start with we're going to harness the power of the wheel and then one more 8 times its size?
Is symmetry not a thing yet? They're like, no, not yet. Hold off.
Now, Thomas Edison didn't kill an elephant in front of me, so we haven't figured that out yet.
Oh, he died equally on both sides.
But now it became standard. It was much safer.
Okay.
2 wheels of the same size. Then in 1888 came rubber tires filled with air. So now it was not only safer, but easier than ever for anyone to ride a bike. Yeah? What were they made of before?
Yeah. I like to acknowledge that I raised my
Ivory?
hand, and then he answered me. If not air, what?
I don't know, because it said rubber tires filled with air, so I don't know if there were rubber tires before that were just solid rubber,
Yeah.
or if it was if it was just like wooden wheels or something, or just like metal wheels. I don't know.
Okay, that's right.
It all seems so logical to me because I'm really intelligent, and if I had been alive back then, I obviously would have come up with it, but I don't know what they were thinking.
You're smart enough to kill an elephant.
If that was me back, I would have killed so many elephants. That's how smart I would have been. So this made the bike much more accessible to someone who wasn't willing to train in the circus to be able to ride one. Yep. And it wasn't only fun, but it was also a pretty effective new way of getting around that, need I remind you, wasn't constantly dumping green all over the street.
Come on, like gray, brown, green.
I don't know. Where are your horses being fed?
They're actually donkeys, but it's all the same. If I ate what they ate, it'd probably be gray, green, brown.
Well, let me tell you, I do eat what they eat, and it's pretty green. On top of that, they were cheap, so young people could afford them, and suddenly bicycle mania gripped America, the 1880s.
God, how annoying. It's like Portland.
It's like how Portland never grew past. Did
that bicycle have a motor?
Golly. Did you...
Literally not Portland.
Anyone who's not from California sounds like Gomer. We've established
anyone, even outside of the county limits.
I'm willing to even go so far as Santa Clarita. Sounds like Gomer Pyle.
Wow, was that the sun?
Wow, was that a magic mountain?
I'm going to count all those flags. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, I can't count higher than that.
They've got 2 3s.
We love the city of Santa Clarita. A beautiful place.
We love them and their addictions. In the 1890s, over 3,000 bike makers opened their doors for business in the United States. Around this time, millions of Americans bought bikes, and it completely changed the culture of America. Like I said, it was a new way for people to get around, but it also became a big part of social life. Like it changed the way young people went on dates. Like you could...
I'll go to the city limits. I'll ride to where the road stop.
It changed women's fashion so that they could more comfortably ride bikes, meaning that skirts got shorter, va-va-voom, and some women even started wearing a type of pants, va-va-voom.
Oh.
Some people even attribute the popularity of bikes around this time to a drop in church attendance and piano playing because it was just so much more fun to be outside riding a bike.
The bike killed the old world, and I love it.
God is dead. Bike is God.
Bike is God. I wear pant. I am woman. I wear pant. God is dead.
I am woman. Hear me, bike.
Hear me. Boop, boop. It's the bell. It's the horn.
I am woman. Hear me, war.
Ooga. Ooga.
Bike destroys man. Women wears pants.
Bike inherits the earth.
Thomas Edison kills an elephant.
I'll wait till we're a break before I look up whether Thomas Edison killed an elephant or not. I'm very curious if it was Thomas Edison.
I think no one should ever look that up, and that just becomes L.A. Meekley canon.
Was it Newton? Whatever. Okay, we'll get there.
Hang on. Isaac Newton killed an elephant. Now you've gone too far.
He would never do that.
An elephant would kill him with gravity.
Was it Galileo? Naming everybody who was smart.
I think was it Aristotle? I think
which
it
one
might
was
have been
real. Aristotle.
It was King David. He cut the elephant in half. That's it.
Oh, Aristotle wrote about Socrates killing an elephant because he wasn't. One of them's not real. I kind of went to college, but I don't remember.
Was it Homer who killed the Cyclops, or did he kill an elephant?
Did he kill a Cyclops for killing an elephant? I'll give you 2 halves of an elephant.
For a hamburger today. Okay, so no city was more primed for bike culture than our very own Los Angeles.
That's right.
Lots of open space, but more importantly, great weather for riding a bike.
Right, it is great weather.
In 1897, it's a great day to ride a bike. That's how I wake up every morning.
My legs want to be so mad at me today. I'm going to go ride a bike.
I always say I'm going to wake up and ride my bike today, and then I get into my Humvee and I just drive down the middle of the road to the petroleum store.
There's so many parts of the city that are so hilly that I could see an early era bike. I see it good on flat areas.
Well, okay.
There's also lots of marshes in old LA too, but whatever.
The bogs of Hollywood. In 1897, there were 30,000 bikes in Los Angeles.
What?
When the population of the entire city was like 5 people. In 1897, it was barely 100,000 people. So 30% of the city, thank God for this easy math here, 30% of the city had bikes.
2 bikes for everyone.
2 legs for every pants. The LA Times was even promoting bike riding because they felt it was very chaste.
Oh.
They claimed it was good for modern young women who were becoming a rosy-cheeked, large-waisted, clear-eyed creature who is afield early and late.
Okay. Neither a compliment or a down.
I've been reading and playing a lot of The Witcher, and this sounds like how a lot of monsters are described. There were long dirt bike paths around town, like the Santa Monica Cycle Path.
Okay.
Also, the Santa Monica Psychopath, you should be afraid of him. It went from downtown to Santa Monica.
Whoa.
The Southern Pacific Railroad even built a bike racetrack with spectator bleachers in Santa Monica.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
There were even several bike gangs that would race each other around town.
Pretty cool.
There was the Los Angeles Times Bicycle Club, which feels sponsored. There was the East Side Club in Boyle Heights. There were the Wanderers in Santa Monica and the Crown City Club in Pasadena, who had their own personal racetrack and uniforms and imposed a strict prohibition against group bicycle runs on the Sabbath. So
they took it seriously.
Yeah. So they were, look, you can be religious and ride a bike if you join the Crown City Bike Club.
They said you couldn't. They said it would never happen. But I believe in God and I have to get somewhere.
It was like the Warriors, but with bike gangs.
Bike gangs and women wearing pants.
Yeah, which is one of the groups of the Warriors, the pant women.
The women who wear pants.
They who wear pants.
You hear like scratches on like chalkboard. You're like, oh no, the women who wear pants are here. You gotta get out.
And they carry around just things they can put in their pocket. And that's what they attack you with. Oh, warriors come out and wear pants.
There was 3 a.m. No.
I'm comfortable.
Leave me alone.
There was even a big downtown to Santa Monica bike race every July 4th. And they'd also do an LA to Riverside bike race every year.
I will not get this.
Unfathomable. How could you? That's like
I give it back.
The Tour de France can't even do that.
God, you can't even take the bus back. Like you ride on that way and then you get to your destination. You're like, all right, well.
If you're lucky, you can catch a horse. You can like hold on to the back of a horse like Marty McFly.
This is going to poop all over you.
And it will be green. But back to that place I just mentioned a few
Right.
seconds ago. The place known for its little old ladies who might wear pants. For in Pasadena in particular is where this story takes place. Pasadena was not immune to the bike plague. The first bike ever in Pasadena showed up in 1882 as a 46-inch auto wooden wheel, which I guess they did. I'm assuming that means it had a wooden wheel. So my original postulation was correct that I guess some bikes had wooden wheels. It was owned by a guy named Will Heisey, and their first bike race in Pasadena was on December 18th, 1885. By 1898, there were 4,000 bikes in Pasadena, which only had a population of 9,000 people. So almost half the people in unless like everyone had 3 bikes. But
That's a lot of bikes to be on the road. It's funny that we have such a traffic problem and an overpopulation of cars currently in LA. It almost seems like we've always had this problem.
yeah, like there's
Like
too many
everybody
bikes for
needs their own vehicle. We're not going to share with nobody.
What, is there going to be a commuter bike that we can all hop on? That's crazy. But with all this wholesome family fun, there must be a way to make a cynical buck and cash in on people's genuine love of something. Enter the mayor of Pasadena.
Oh, scumbag.
Technically, he wasn't a mayor until a little bit later, and technically, he was just head of Pasadena's City Board of Supervisors, which was just the equivalent of being a mayor. But still, enter the mayor of Pasadena, Horace Muriel Dobbins.
Every single word is good.
Every single name is old. He was born in 1868 in Philadelphia, and much like the Fresh Prince, long after him, he was rich. Fresh Prince eventually got rich. He was rich by association. His mom was rich. His dad was rich, but his dad was also rich in tuberculosis. So when he was young, the family, like Doc Hollywood, Doc Holliday.
Doc Hollywood's another movie.
Doc Hollywood also had tuberculosis. I'm just going to put it out there. Remember when Doc Hollywood and Wyatt Earp just
Shot at those people at the train station or whatever.
Yeah, the OK train station. So when he was young, the family moved, as all TB patients did at the time, to Pasadena.
Right.
As rich people in Pasadena did, they moved to Millionaires Row. But Horace, who was something of a kooky visionary by all accounts, and as history has proven, he wanted to become rich of his own accord. Horace didn't care about bikes when they were being ridden by eccentric inventors, and he certainly didn't care about bikes when they were normal bikes. But what he did care about was making money. And he took notice of how popular bikes were at the time he was coming of age. He was one of the early, and I'll use the term again, kooky visionaries, who saw the potential opportunities that could arise by connecting a city to its suburbs.
Okay.
Like he envisioned that, which again, like if I could go back in time, obviously I'm really intelligent. I could have told
I
anybody
could have
that.
figured it out, yeah.
But someone had to come up with the idea first of like, there should be an easy way to get from the city to the place where people can live without stepping in green whenever they walk
So this
out
was
into
a
the
way
street.
to avoid horse roads.
No, well, just the idea of a suburb for someone to create it. Like there was the city of Los Angeles,
Right.
there was the city of Pasadena, and it was like, you're going to Los Angeles? See you in a month.
I get what you mean.
Exaggeration.
Hyperbole.
But like for someone to come up with the idea of like, these should be connected so it's basically the same city.
Got it.
That meant easy commutes for workers who didn't want cramped city life and could spread out into the land surrounding the cramped city and create all new money-making opportunities in selling housing and transportation.
Right.
This is how Los Angeles became a sprawl. And the other big kooky visionary at the time who also saw the potential of this was Henry Huntington with his Pacific Electric Railway cars. It was the same idea of like, I can connect all these different parts of town
Right.
and also get really rich. So what Horace Dobbins envisioned was a potential toll road between Pasadena, where he lived, to downtown Los Angeles. No direct and easy routes existed at the time, and this was his chance to create one and make a lot of money doing it. Like I said, cars didn't really exist yet, and it just so happened that the popular mode of transportation at the time was the bicycle. Would you like me to sing the Queen song now? I tend to sing Queen songs in every single episode.
It feels like every episode now you've snuck Queen in. And I only know a handful of Queen songs, so you could literally sing anything right now and be like, it's probably a Queen song. Fernando is a Queen song, I guess, because he only sings Queen songs now.
If it had been cars, he would have built a freeway.
Right.
But it was bikes, so he decided to build a bikeway, which it's a bikeway for bikes, but a freeway for cars. I don't park on the driveway or whatever.
The rest of the idiom is.
Yeah, he didn't.
I don't weigh on a free.
I don't get high when I drive. He didn't want to sink all his own family money into this potentially crazy and
Right.
money-losing endeavor. So he got some additional funding from some other rich SoCal people, such as Ed Braley, owner of the Braley Bicycle Emporium,
Okay.
which was Pasadena's oldest bike shop, and our old friend Thaddeus Lowe of Mount Lowe.
Mount Lowe, right.
On August 23rd, 1897, Horace incorporated incorporated the California Cycleway company and set to work building his envisioned bike toll road.
Cool.
To start, he needed to set a path from Pasadena to downtown, and lucky for him, there was a natural path that had existed for centuries that had been used by the Quiche and the Spanish and the Mexican inhabitants before Whitey took over, and that was our old other friend, the Arroyo Seco, which has been running through like a dry stream through the past 2 episodes.
No water there, but you sure know that there used to be.
Yeah, prove it. Like you keep saying it's the Arroyo Seco. Was it ever mojado? At what point was this place filled with water?
Exactly.
That's what I want to know.
Show me a photo.
You know what? This is just another big government lie. And that's what I've come here to talk about. Greg, I want to get new listeners by spreading conspiracy theories.
I'm all for it.
The government drained our rivers.
And they've been using that water to make Coca-Cola.
They've been using that water to make fluoride that they put back in our water.
To make us straight, because we were all born gay. That it?
We were all born bicycle. So the path was to start near the Hotel Green around Dayton Street in Pasadena, which was a hugely popular hotel, Hotel Green at the time, and then would go south past another popular attraction I'll be talking about later with some large flightless birds and a few other sites and points of interest along the Seco, and then would come the midway point at around where the Audubon Center now is in Debs Park near the Southwest Museum. Horace was planning to build what he called the Merlimont Casino.
Oh.
This was going to be the halfway point between Pasadena and downtown. It would have been a giant rest stop / resort for the people riding along the Veloway, or I guess just anyone who wanted to just go there. And it would have had a cafe, it would have had a restaurant, a lounge area, a women-only reading room.
Where they wear pants and read.
A women-only pant room. Madam, you must check your skirt at the door. We wear pants here.
Oh, I gotta get out of here. I heard about you girls.
It's like when you got to put on a dinner jacket and like, oh, you can wear the loner dinner jacket, and everyone's just wearing like parachute pants because they forgot to bring pants. There was something called a Swiss dairy, which I guess you just bought like milk in, and of course
holes. The milk had holes. Well, people don't say that anymore, but the milk had holes.
People don't say that anymore, do
don't.
they? No one talks about how many holes Swiss cheese has.
No, they don't.
When did that stop being funny?
I think that's ripe for humor.
The milk had holes in it, and of course, well, the cows had holes in it. That's
The cows
how you
had
get Swiss
holes.
milk, and of course, a big ass bike rack. Then my finger was covering the second word of that.
A big ass bike rack?
How do I get so many fingers on this paper?
Whose hand is this?
A big, go on, ass. Keep going.
Sweaty bike.
Holes?
A big ass Swiss. What's that mean?
A big ass Swiss hole. Then once you've rested up and had Swiss milk with holes in it, and you read a book with your pants on, if you're a woman, you'd continue on the path. If you were a man, you had to wear skirts because it was somehow easier for a man to wear a skirt.
And everyone was just cool with it.
It was just a gender bending time.
Nobody even knew what we were supposed to be wearing. We just showed up. You're like, give me a skirt. Give me dungarees.
Give me a skirt and a big glass of milk. I'm heading to downtown and I need my strength. So you'd rest up there and then you continue on the path as it snaked along the Arroyo Seco, which it proved to me a time when it was not just Seco. And you would end around where Union Station is today.
Okay.
So it would go from basically downtown Pasadena to downtown Los Angeles, to like the plaza.
Right. I feel like I don't want to spoil this if this is later, so you can hit me with the birch tree or whatever. Is it literally?
I've switched. You know what? I'm back to the birch tree.
I got a oak, but it's too nice to hit you with. Is it just follow the path of the 110?
Greg, pull your pants down. I swear to God,
you're describing the route, and I keep like.
If I knew another breed of tree, I would hit you with that, but. Just pull your pants down, Greg. We'll get to it. It was actually kind of an engineering marvel, this thing.
Okay.
It ranged from between 3 to 50 feet above the ground, but it was by no means a hard path to ride. None of the grades were higher than 3%, which is like me in college. So it was very smooth, like me in college. and it was the width of basically 4 lanes of park traffic. Can we do a different take on this joke? I'd rather not. Can we revive the Swiss cheese thing instead?
Of me talking about how large I was.
It was also an early example of grade separation, which became so important to rail cars that kept slamming into traffic later on. So like it was above everything.
Yeah. Like you in college. Like you after college. Yeah.
Like me before, during, and after college. It was made of Oregon pine. That's what that's what I'm going to hit you with next.
Yeah, I special ordered it it will be here next week, but I'm going to hit you with it.
On Amazon Pine, I ordered that. So they painted this pine dark green, and it had sand embedded into the wood for grip, so it was weatherproof for the twice a year that it rained in LA. Little old ladies and prudish old men from Pasadena, of course, were afraid this would become an airborne lover's lane. So they added lights every 50 feet so there wouldn't be any shadow whoopee going on.
We want to see the whoopee.
We're not against it.
Yeah,
we just want to supervise
it. Why are you depriving us of the sight of whoopee?
We live in Pasadena. This is all we have.
Yeah, please. I literally don't know how babies are born. No one will tell me. I have a feeling that it happens on bridges, though.
When a man and a woman ride a bike.
In the dark.
In the dark.
And both of them are wearing pants.
Who wears the pants on this bike? We don't know anymore. It's too dark, usually. Now, the money-making aspect of this was that this was the world's first tolled road exclusively for bikes.
Okay.
It would cost 10 cents to go one way or 15
10 cents?
What am I made of? Dimes, or it would be 15 cents for round trip, which could have taken in about $20,000 a month if all went well. And they'd also offer rental bikes at various entrances, so it was really way ahead of its time.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Like the city bike sort of thing, basically.
Right. I feel like people bought bikes for like 6 cents, and the toll road was 10 cents.
I mean, if you want wheels that were the same size, you're gonna have to pay at least 15 cents for a bike. And if you wanted one big enough for shadow whoopee, oh boy, Greg. On the flip side of all this innovation was that it cost $200,000 to make, which today is about $6.5 million. So get to collecting those dimes, Horace, or you got to pay this thing off.
Also, it's made of wood, and everything notoriously from the era that was made of wood was about to be on fire
but
or
Greg,
on fire.
It's painted green.
Oh, no one told me that you painted the color of nature, and literally it can't burn if it's painted the color of nature.
Yeah, fire is afraid of things that look like nature.
Just ask every forest fire.
The groundbreaking of this whole thing began on May 1st, 1899, and the grand opening was part of the Rose Parade.
Oh, really?
On January 1st, 1900. He had 350 bikes covered in flowers riding down the parade path, and they would peeled off and went straight down the Veloway, along with about 300 other riders, and it was a huge sensation riddled with allergies. They all just went.
Oh, yeah.
They went down this bikeway.
They all sneezed in masks.
Yeah. They were so considerate. And this was the early days of the Spanish flu, which was allergies.
It turned out to just be allergies, and everyone was faking dying.
Yeah, so all those people came back to life because they told them it was just allergies. Newspapers worldwide wrote articles about it. They touted it as the world's first elevated bikeway and the only toll road catering exclusively to two-wheelers. It was even profiled in Scientific American. The only picture of Horace Dobbins on his Pride and Joy was him sitting, of course, on a personal steam-powered car on this bikeway,
what a jerk.
He hated bikes that much, but it's like, I don't even, like, this thing was great. Like, he looked like he was in like an exoskeleton almost of this crazy car he was riding on. Like, it was a one-person car that was...
Oh my God. There's no steering column, so I have to... It's all connected to my spine. If I turn my head, I'll crash into that tree.
Like the guy in Dune.
If you say so.
It was huge. It was innovative. It was sensational.
It was an elephant killed by Thomas Edison.
Then where is it, and why don't we ever talk about it?
Yes.
Why didn't you know about this?
Why didn't I know about it? Why do I suspect that it's actually just the 110?
Well, the problem was on this opening day, the Veloway didn't go all the way from Pasadena to downtown LA as promised. It only went about 1.25 miles of the way to where the Glen Arm power plant is today, which if you look at it on a map, you could pretty much walk there quicker than you could on some ratty circa 1900 bike. Only 1.25 miles of this. It was nowhere near what it was promised to be.
Yeah.
So what went wrong here? Let me count the ways.
Okay. The casino was never built.
No.
Okay.
So far away from that ever even happening.
Okay, yeah.
They couldn't figure out how to put holes in the middle.
They shot it.
It just keeps filling up.
Yeah.
It's some sort of T1000, whatever that means.
I keep trying to cut the liquid. It just doesn't.
I keep trying to cut the cheese, whatever that means, and it's not happening.
And my mom keeps laughing.
Horace had cleared all the land necessary all the way down to around the Highland Park area.
Yeah.
And he owned the traffic right of ways, but with this tiny section of it actually being built when it opened, it just wasn't wasn't practical for anybody. Like, it was meant to be this functional superhighway between two places, and that would make life easier for people that also function as a fun attraction.
Right.
But with only 1.25 miles of it existing, it was just an attraction. It didn't take people where they needed to go.
It served no purpose.
So boy, will someone zing it later. I'll get to it. But yeah, it basically was useless. Some people even here we go. Some people started calling it the ride from nowhere to nowhere.
That's funny. That'll be 10 cents.
So do you want the round trip?
Round trip or what? You came from nowhere. To go back to nowhere, it's going to be another 10 cents.
From nowhere to nowhere to nowhere is 15 cents. They kept working on it for a little bit longer, but construction had stopped by October 1900. And I believe that the most they ever got done was 3 miles of it, which is nowhere near what they had promised.
No, that's only 3 miles.
Plus, people felt there weren't enough entry and exit points on it to make even those 3 miles worthwhile.
God, can you imagine getting a freeway, but there's no exits? You just have to go the whole way?
Not even with those 3 miles, it was worthwhile. Yeah. So it was kind of the 1900 equivalent of like that Hyperloop thing that Elon Musk built.
Oh, right. Whatever lie he made.
On top of that, to get onto it at many parts, since it was elevated, you had to carry your bike upstairs, which nobody wanted to do. Nobody still wants to do.
It was all made of metal back then?
I know. It weighed as much as an elephant. And also, people found it hard to bike that far, especially for practical purposes, even though Horace swore that it was all downhill, which for his endeavor,
Yeah. It's downhill both ways.
At one point, he was you keep like saying things as if it's a joke. At one point, he was assuring people that it was downhill both ways to like get anybody interested in it.
This is how dumb this story is that me joking is just is hitting perfectly the mark. It's like me pretending to know how to throw darts and I keep hitting the mark.
Sometimes stupid jokes are stranger than fiction. But the biggest problem might have been that by the time it opened, the bike craze was already winding down.
Oh my God.
Like, everything was going wrong for this.
I mean, he brought a car on his bikeway. You show everyone how to make a car?
It was like he was on a lawnmower. Horace had started the project in 1897, but he didn't get approval on it until 1898, and it didn't open until 1900.
Open until 1951. Don't tell me that's the next
They're still working on it, Greg. Boy, you were just knocking it out of the park. Just for that, you can pull your pants back up.
I don't want to hit you. You don't deserve it.
I don't want to pull my pants back up. Those 3 years is a long time when you're talking about the popularity of something. That's like it's like the Angry Birds movie coming out when no one cared about Angry Birds anymore.
It's like you finally getting the courage to buy a suit and do your hair like a mop top, and the Beatles are already dressing like Captain Crunch. You're like, oh no, I've already missed the
What am I going to do with these heeled boots?
I got to get some jacket from India now? Dude, they're about to break up. Don't try to look like them anymore.
I'm just going to dress like the Dave Clark 5.
They always look the same.
That's a look that will never go out of style. The Model T was still 8 years away when it first opened. So it wasn't really cars that killed this bikeway like a lot of people claim. It was like every other article was like, cars killed it. It killed
Cars killed it from the future.
Terminator again. They sent back milk and cars. The fact of the matter is that the average person just didn't really care that much about biking by the time that it opened. Like they were like, all right, okay,
cool.
Back to those horses.
Yeah.
You know what? I missed the fecal matter.
I missed the bike being mad at me.
I missed the chance of the bike kicking me if I walked behind
me to death. Yeah.
Horace Dobbins was a man with ideas just outside of his time.
Would you say that he was an oddball visionary? What was the?
He was altogether a kooky visionary.
Kooky visionary, yeah.
He was too early for cars, but too late for bikes.
My two favorite Pixar movies. Go ahead.
He was too early for cars, too late for Cars 2. Two Cars Too Furious. At what point is the Fast and the Furious franchise just going to meld with the Cars universe?
I can't wait for them to steal Lightning McQueen and be like, something's weird. And then they look over and someone's in Herbie the Love Bug. And it's a sentient cars. And now they have to fight the Transformers.
Somehow the Italian job is the villain. I don't get it. When he halted construction, he said, wheelmen have not evidenced enough interest in it, and so we will lie still for a time and use it for an automobile service, but those vehicles are not yet common or perfect enough to jump into business.
So you don't want to jump into the car phase of transportation.
It wasn't there yet. Like there were not Model Ts. Like there were not cars that people could afford. He could see that it was coming. Like he could
just like you're gonna like a person who's about to get hit by a car. I could see that it's coming.
Yeah, the person getting hit by the first car.
The first car.
I can see this is happening. I don't know how to avoid it.
No. He's going 10 miles per hour, and I'm so fascinated that I'm still standing in the way.
So fascinated, so furious after it hits you. But yeah, he was just in between times. Like he just swing and a miss. So he basically just decided to sit on the land he had secured for the Veloway in the hopes that it would make sense for cars or some other mode of transportation someday, because he believed in the concept of the super road between Pasadena and downtown LA, but the world just wasn't there yet. In the meantime, he just let the small portion of the Veloway that existed to rot. Like it was just there. Like I think people were still using it, but it was just like...
Or shadow whoopee.
You ever heard of the 50-foot high club?
I've got splinters literally everywhere.
4 lanes of paradise. But old Henry Huntington didn't even want to have to look at this thing. The very idea of a competition in any form to his Pacific Electric calls, that, might I add, was cheaper than what he was charging, was repugnant to him.
Literally Daniel Plainview. When you say Henry Huntington, I literally see, why don't I own this? Yeah. He's so angry at everyone all the time. If he sees a fast bird, he's like, why don't I own that?
I drink your Swiss milk. Huntington fought Dobbins in court in 1902 over the traffic right-of-way he owned, and in 1908, the California Supreme Court made Horace Dobbins return some of the land that he bought, I guess, to California. But the Pasadena Veloway stood for quite a while. It was apparently still up in 1919, just sitting there.
Oh, wow.
Where Horace decided to redub it as the Airline, and he was going to transform it into, you guessed it, as predictable as this story apparently is, I'm going to let you guess what he was trying to next sell this as. And Greg, might I add, I'm holding a piece of Oregon pine in my hand.
He called it an airway. He can't be like, land a plane here.
Oh, no. That's a good guess, though.
Okay.
I'll spank myself for this one. Oh, I liked it. He wanted to turn it into a monorail.
Monorail.
Veloway. The city voted on it on March 30th, 1919, and they decided to put the no in monorail. So again, he was just way ahead of his time.
Right.
But they loved it in Pasadena. It put Santa Clarita on the map. That was when Horace just gave up on his dream once and for all and sold it to another entity that would make Henry Huntington nervous, the Southern Pacific Railway, who tore it down and sold it off for lumber. But his idea proved to be sound because that same path that his bikeway took would eventually be used as the path of the Arroyo Seco Freeway, which many considered to be the first modern freeway in the United States. So in a way, you could attribute the freeway system in maybe the entire country to Horace Dobbins and his vision, which, boy, if only he lived another 100 years.
He would have insisted that it was made out of wood.
And he would have been driving his weird...
his exoskeleton lawnmower.
Slow down, you bunch of you kooky maniacs.
Slow down, you kooky visionaries.
Plus, there are still modern efforts to make some sort of bikeway between Pasadena and downtown LA by groups like the Arroyo Seco Greenway Project. So maybe now is the time to bring back Horace's vision. But alas, it is too late for Horace Dobbins to see his dream from over 100 years ago come to fruition. In his own lifetime, he was forced to be content with the work he later did helping revitalize Exposition Park and another dream project outside of time when he built one of the biggest 3-hull catamarans ever constructed.
Really?
A kooky visionary.